Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to Generation Next Nation. Let's go. Let's get it. All right. We're gonna be talking about real quick Belle Collective and Love and Marriage Huntsville Reunion Part 1. So before we get started, as always, thank you to everybody who has subscribed to my channel, left a comment, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. I definitely respond back to everybody. All right. Secondly, all commentary on my page is alleged in my opinion and for entertainment purposes only. Alleged in my opinion and for entertainment purposes only. And last but not least, my commentary is done week to week based on the episode that's aired. I don't have a dog in this fight. I know things are edited out, so I can only give my commentary based on what airs on the TV screen. All right. And with that being said, if you are a content creator, you follow me. I know it's a lot of small ones out there like myself. I definitely follow you back. I leave a comment. I try to look at your videos when I have time to sit down and do that. So I try to support each other. Okay. And I'm glad that you are supporting me back. I definitely appreciate it. That does not go unnoticed. Now, with that being said, we're going to get through this Bell Collective real quick. I'm just going to do a couple of highlights. One of them is this: Carrie is the problem. Period. She is the problem. They start off at the round table, still talking about the whole Latrice, Letitia's beef, and what's wrong with the Bell Collectives. And Amanda's still there. And by this point, Tamber, not Amanda, I'm sorry, Chantel. By this time, Tamber's pissed off. Tamber's like, look at here. I don't know who you think you talking to, just going in. West Side Tamber came out, they said. And then they start flashing back to West Side Tamber. And I done forgot Tamara about that life. I forgot Tamara done snapped on a few people over the years on that show. Tamara ain't with the BS. Because, I always say Tamara gets her stuff and walk out. But this time, she had some words to say before she walked out. And she said, when that girl told, don't be pointing your finger in my face, her and Chantel just going back and forth. I thought it was a hot mess. However, I will give Tamara kudos. Tamara got her bag and said, I ain't going to be part of this. I'm not listening to no outside noise. Latrice is not here. And I'm not sitting here while y'all talk about my friend. I'm shooting y'all the deuces. Okay? And she walked out of there. Now, let me look at some of my notes. And I appreciate that she did that. So, Carrie, I'm sorry, Carrie is and Marie and who's still there? I think it's Carrie, Marie, Latrice, Letitia, and Chantel. I guess at some point they all decided that maybe we just need to leave Chantel out of it. But Chantel let them all know, and Selena. No, Selena wasn't there. Yeah, Selena was there. Chantel let them all know, look at here. I've been around y'all for several years. Then once again, Carlos and his shady editors flashback, pointing at Chantel every event she was at. She said, I ain't said nothing. I done sat there and watched y'all talk about this woman, and I ain't said nothing. She has taken a lot from y'all, and I ain't said nothing. Now that I speak up, it's a problem. Yeah, Chantel, because you're not part of the collective. So they don't want to hear it regardless. But you were right. We've seen all the flashbacks of Letitia going through a lot with these girls, and you were there, and it don't matter because you ain't part of the collective. So let's move on. Of course, and like I said, we just gonna make this quick. Of course, Carrie got to skip around and go to everybody. First, she's sitting there with Marie and Latrice, telling them about her content creator event. She's teamed up with Latrice, and then Marie gets pissed off because Letitia brings you into the group and you ain't even asked Letitia to be a partner. And then Carrie's like, it's a brand ambassadorship for Black Woman Vitamins, and she said, Latrice is a brand. And Marie says, so is Letitia. Letitia is a women who brunch brand. Carrie said, no, Latrice has a whole hairline in a restaurant. It made sense. Okay. But you still could have used Letitia. She said, I don't have to always team up with you guys. So Marie is like, hey, you picking the side? I can see what side she on. They already determined that Carrie has picked Latrice's side. I don't know what this picking side thing is about, but that's what they have determined. And so she said, I'm inviting y'all. Letitia said, y'all have a nice time. Y'all, I hope y'all enjoy yourself and I hope the event turns out well. I think in that moment, Letitia was hurt. But Carrie was like showing a flashback where she had a women's who brunch event with Letitia. And I remember she did. I don't remember. I think it was in her restaurant, if I ain't mistaken. So she has done an event with you, Letitia. Let her do this with Latrice. Now, Carrie, going forward, you could have used both of them because you could have had Letitia bring her ladies who brunch thing because, like Marie said, she can gather a bunch of women. So they could have all came in support of, along with the Bells. And then you could have had Latrice do the catering of the food. So that way both brands are being utilized at your event. Just my opinion. Then after that, here go Carrie. 100-yard dash over there to Taste to sit down and talk to Latrice about what was going on. They questioned me about teaming up with you for this creators event. I'm telling them you are a content creator. That's where I make my bread and butter. I'm a content creator. They want me to pick a side. This is what I'm talking about. Carrie is the freaking problem. That's all I'm saying. And she made sure to mention that it was Letitia and Marie that she had the conversation with. So now you got Latrice feeling a certain type of way. Then after they leave there, you have a conversation with Tambra, Selena, and Latrice, and they're letting Latrice know what was said at the event. And Tambra said, "Hey, I'm 10 toes down with Latrice. Latrice was there when I was going through my pregnancy, other issues I had going on when my father was sick. Latrice said the same thing. She was with me when I had issues going on." And Selena said, "Hey, I called and checked on y'all too." And she said, "Yeah, that's true, but Latrice was down like 4 flat tires." So good job. Their friendship is solid, and that's why Tamara ain't gonna change. She's not going to change her stance. She's going to back Latrice all the way to the end. Meanwhile, while Letitia worried about ladies who brunch, brand deals, whose side who's on, Glenn over there at the attorney's office finding out what the hell's a prenuptial and how that's going to work out for me. Okay? Glenn thought he was going to end up having to give Letitia half of everything and found out that that's not true, that he's entitled to half everything that she gets too. Okay. So I said, Letitia, you need to stop worrying about these bells and start worrying about what Glenn doing behind your back. So when the lawyer said, look, it doesn't matter what she does in her name separately, you still entitled to that. And Glenn perked up real quick. Because remember, Letitia told Glenn, I need some money to open my own account. I got my own management team to start my talk show, and I want my own financial freedom. She basically wanted to be a boss bee and leaving. And Glenn said, where does that leave me? She said, I don't know. So Glenn felt like he was left out. Now Glenn is finding out, baby, you don't just get half of my stuff and walk away. If that should be the case, allegedly, I'm getting half of what you making up over there. Letitia, you better keep an eye on Glenn. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Everybody decide that when Chantel's around, the Bells act differently. So Latrice, Selena, um, Tambra, everybody doesn't like Chantel. But the only issue I had with that is, you know, Latrice was saying, well, Chantel comes around and says this, and this. She's not a Belle. She's an outside. She's bringing outside noise. I don't know if y'all remember Amanda brought a lot of outside noise that caused Glenn and Letitia a lot of crap, last season too. So don't act like y'all haven't brought a friend or two around that brought in outside noise. That was my only issue with Latrice. I appreciate the fact that Timber had Latrice's back. I understand how Marie got Letitia's back. And Marie let Carrie know, hey, Letitia brought you into this group. So I guess Marie feels like uh, Carrie's supposed to have this dying loyalty to Letitia, but I also understand at the same time why they don't want Chantel around. But you can't be complaining about Chantel on this side of the house, Tambra and Latrice and Selena, when y'all brought in Amanda in. I won't say Selena because Selena wasn't really part of that, but y'all brought Amanda in who tore apart, almost tore that whole relationship apart, telling that lady her husband was DMing her and all this other stuff. Chantel didn't do that much damage. She may have had some words or two to say to y'all, but she wasn't in there trying to ruin marriages. That's all I'm gonna say about that. And friendships, because that fractured Cliff and Glendale's friendship, what Amanda was saying. Now, allegedly, Amanda's on another reality TV show I seen somebody was talking about. Tamra basically said, We trying to get back to sisterhood, not the hood. And I guess Tamra meant that because we seen Tamra West Side Hood. Tamra said, I ain't trying to get back to West Side Hood. We need to get back to sisterhood and not the hood. Okay. And last we'll talk about is just the influencer event. The way I seen it, it seemed like Marie showed up and Letitia showed up, even though she said she wasn't. She said, I'm gonna show up and support the Bells anyway. And she get in there and she didn't have anything nice to say the whole time. It was just kind of back and forth, like whispering, what is this for? What are they doing? I don't know if y'all out of touch or don't understand how influencers work. I am older than all y'all, and I understood exactly what Carrie was doing. She was trying to find a person with personality that can sell, that may look good in front of the camera per se, that can draw attention to herself and sell these black girl vitamins. So that's why she was having them do stuff like maybe sing. You see a lot of people on TikTok, especially TikTok, Instagram, singing, dancing, talking to the camera, doing jokes, using acronyms. I know you effing lying and stuff like that. She needed to know that these ladies are up on the culture, have personality, can draw people to the page, and maybe possibly sell the product. And what they was looking at, like, what does this got to do with influence? Why they asking them to dance and sing? It has a lot to do with it. If you scroll down TikTok, that's all they doing is dancing, singing, and trying to sell you something. Ooh, I just got this shirt in today. This shirt looks awesome, girl. Let me tell you, this is what you need in your life if you ain't got it. That's what they do. So I think those ladies were doing exactly what they were supposed to do in that audition. I just think Marie and Tisha did not know much about how the creative world goes and influencer world go. Kudos to you. You guys did a great job. Okay. And at the end of the event, after everybody left, the Belle sat down on the couch and they tried to have a good discussion. And I think they came to a resolution that no outside noise. We can resolve issues among ourselves. We need to stop allowing other people in. But there was one funny moment that I have to mention. I forgot to talk about when Marie and Carrie and Tisha was sitting at that table, and Marie started getting in Carrie butt, and they was arguing back and forth. And then she said, "You gonna come to your event, my event?" And Marie said, "I'll be there." And high five. They're like, "Hey, I'm gonna support each other. It don't matter." That's what I'm talking about. If you are on Love and Marriage Huntsville, if you own Belle Birmingham, that's how you do it. You don't even the girls in Real Housewives of Atlanta. They will argue, high five each other, and show up for each other. That's how you do it. You don't have to hold grudges forever. And I appreciated that because even though they're fighting with each other, they said, hey, we may be fighting, but we still gonna show up for each other because we have a job to do. What did they say? Collaboration before competition. I love that. I love that. And that's what Huntsville needs to take a note from. Birmingham needs to take a note from because y'all getting what's the girl name down in Birmingham? Stormy and Tiffany. Tiffany, it don't even need to be like that. You and Stormy may have disagreement, but at the end of the day, y'all should be supporting each other because you on the same show. And the same thing down there with Destiny and Tisha in Huntsville. Yeah, the hate y'all giving each other, it's not even worth it. And speaking of Huntsville, we're going to go on and get to that next. I'm glad the girls in Birmingham, I mean, down in Jacksonville, for now, have resolved the issues. And they're no longer listening to outside noise and they're going to try to resolve their issues. But, baby, let me tell you, Carrie is the problem. Carrie is the bone carrier. Carrie is the gaslighter. Carrie is the SHIT starter. Carrie is the problem. Now, y'all done brought her in. You probably ain't going to be able to get rid of her. But Carrie seems to be the center of all the crap that goes on. Don't trust her. Okay, every time y'all tell Carrie something, she can't hold water. That girl doing a 50-yard dash to the next person to spill the beans. Y'all should have figured that out by now. I'm watching the show and I already know I would never tell Carrie a damn thing. Not the way she run and disseminate information. As soon as they left the meeting, she running over there to Latrice, telling Latrice everything that Letitia and Marie said about her at the meeting. You don't do that, Carrie. That's not trying to create a sisterhood. You keeping them divided. You keeping the crap going. You could have kept that to yourself. Nobody needed to know that. It wasn't that they didn't say anything bad about her. You should have kept it to yourself. But no, being Carrie, she want to get that storyline going. That's the way I feel. Carrie is messy. Keep an eye on her. Carrie need to be focusing on your own stuff and stay out of this lady's business. That's all I'm gonna say about Carrie. She's something else. And I noticed they didn't show any of the guys this particular episode other than Glendale trying to find where his money at. All right, we're gonna move on to Love and Marriage Huntsville reunion. Letitia Scott and Kimmy Scott. Kimmy Scott, I know we've been giving Letitia a hard time because she acts very immature to me. Now I'm sure she's probably a very mature woman, but it comes off screen that you're immature, and it could just be the way they edit you. Kimmy is true to who she is. She's nothing but a gaslighter. And for some reason, Kimmy and Maurice are moving up that scale to be one of the most unliked couples on the show. Martell, I have a lot to say about Martell towards the end, but Martell was comedic for me this time. Once again, Martell don't give up. He just don't. He just don't. Okay, Maurice tried to soften his image up a little bit to make us like him, but no, Maurice, it ain't working. Trisha's still lying. Ken's still lying. Nell is done. And Chris is just sitting there letting her talk. Chris ain't said a word. Nell done. Nell about to put her foot up anybody but who stepped to her the wrong way. And Destiny has finally seen the light. And what I mean by light is Melody Cherie Rogers was right about all you ninjas. Every single one of y'all. Let's go. Martell, in the beginning, you know how they show everybody coming in their dressing room. Marceau and Tisha talking about they ain't got a couch. I guess they felt like they're the number one stunners and number one couple, so they need to have a couch. And I guess Kimmy and Maurice had it. Martell ain't even there. He's still out shopping for a suit. Marcus gets Martell on the phone. Where you at? Oh, my suit didn't come in. So I'm at the mall getting a suit. Martell, are you at the mall getting a suit? Or you still at home harassing your ex? Because let's be clear. You flying out to LA, you know where you need to be there. Carlos said, I put you on first class. What are you talking about? Get your butt here. Why didn't you have a backup suit? Is times that hard? I don't understand that. If your suit didn't come in, you claimed you ordered it from Paris somewhere, which I doubt. You still should have had a backup suit. You shouldn't have landed in LA and had to go to the mall. And I'm sure y'all got there maybe the day before. I don't know. But if you got there day, why didn't you go to the mall the day before? That doesn't make any sense to me, but I digress. Now, as they're introducing everybody, they all coming out. Now, he calls Martell. Martell's just rolling up in the car. You could see a little bit, and I know Carlos is a professional and he tries to hold his composure as much as possible. But I think at that point, Carlos was a little frustrated with Martell. And I've never seen him that frustrated with Martell, but I think he was holding it in. Martell, you are skating on thin ice. We understand this is a number one show on network, so they say. That's why they got another 30 seasons. But you may not be in them 30 seasons. I mean, those 30 episodes. So you might want to chill because they've already winged you out most of this season. And they were still able to run without you. You're gonna run yourself out that door. And from the looks of things, you and Ariana need the money. We'll just leave it at that. Um, as he called and he didn't come in, and Carlos is like, "This is your seventh reunion. You should you should know something, you should know better." So he finally makes it in. If you notice, the camera zoom right to Tisha. Tisha did not clap. She was just sitting there, whatever. You know, I will say this as far as the looks, Chris Fletcher killed it. He was actually tied with Carlos. I ain't gonna hold you. Carlos looked good. Carlos, one thing about Carlos, whenever they do the reunions, he do have a nice suit on. But him and Chris was running neck and neck. I will say that. Now, as far as the women go, I'm sorry. Destiny looked the best to me. Destiny looked like she went out and got one of them Nigerian gowns or something. But Destiny looked the best to me. And then after Destiny, hate it or love it, I think Trish looked good. Trish just has that body. So that little gown she had on, it wasn't nothing spectacular, but it was just a fit and it looked so nice on her. The rest of Nell looked pretty nice too, but you couldn't hardly see it because they kind of filmed her from the back and then she sat down. But the other two, I mean, they was okay. It wasn't nothing spectacular for me. I'm looking at my notes, people. Um The first person they talked to was Kimmy and Maurice, as usual. Kimmy's sitting up there making excuses, Maurice up there making excuses. And it basically came down, their whole conversation was the whole infidelity thing. Would you stay with Maurice if he cheated? Now, on the episode, Kimmy said that was her deal breaker. But then at the picnic, I mean, at the camping trip, she said, I don't know. I probably could work through fidelity with him after we've been married. That used to be my deal breaker, but I don't know now. Now they're on the stage, so we don't know what happened between that being filmed and the stage. And then she's saying, I ain't gonna sit here and be mistreated by no man. What is going on with you, Kimmy? You see what I'm saying? Kimmy is in everybody's business and got smoke for everybody. But then when you start getting to the nooks and crannies of her and Maurice relationship, it's all kind of crap going on. And there is the deflection. There lies the deflection. Cause you got all kind of crap going on here that you can't fix with Maurice, acting like Mr. Billy Bad behind, and you send that energy to the ladies. Because Maurice is sitting there like, I think Kimmy's a great woman. I mean, I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. She's perfect, whatever. And I would never leave her. I would survive infidelity. I didn't even know she felt this way. Kimmy, quit lying. Quit lying. I don't know why Kimmy is saying that. I wouldn't sit here and allow somebody to mistreat me. We done sat here and listened to your whole sex life. That's all you ever talk about. 3 times a day, 5 times a day. All Maurice care about is when he can get some sex. Well, in Carlos, he don't do no better edging it on. Well, I mean, are you up to 4 or 5 times a day? Well, I mean, when were we doing it that much? I mean, that was back when you was actually working and everything. Now you in your soft hand, soft man era. It's different. I'm just not attracted. I like to get off too. Girl, is that all y'all have going on? Is the sex life? Do y'all have conversations about anything else? All y'all have been talking about since you have been on this show, and I'm just being serious. Every season it has to do with Maurice not having enough sex. Maurice not having enough sex. Maurice, is he cheating? Is he not cheating? Okay. And then you're sitting there saying you're not going to let nobody disrespect you. And we still know where Maurice was coming from, you know, with the lipstick on the night of DWI when he hit the pole, the animal had a concussion and a tree. But I digress. Um, at that, Maurice said, I mean, Kimmy said Maurice was the best man she ever met. He said Kimmy was special. And at the end of the day, um, they said that they watched their friends go through a lot with divorce and children and this and that. And we know they're alluding to Martell because every time they would mention cheating, divorce, and friends having problems, the camera would turn to Martell. So we know they was talking about Martell and Melanie without actually saying Martell and Melanie. And I felt Martell was feeling some type of way because there was a lot of digs at him and his wife, ex-wife, the cheating and all that stuff. They kept focusing on we watch other people do this. Maurice and then Carlos said something which I felt was directed toward Martell when he said, y'all know black men don't cheat. And then the camera zoomed to Martell. Martell was taking a lot of pop shots that whole night. And see, this is what I be saying. Y'all do that shit and agitate Martell. And then when he let loose on y'all, then he's the bad guy. Because it's eventually, I don't know if it's going to be part 2 or 3 or whatever, but I think Martell is going to let loose on them. And I think they did show some things where he was saying stuff. Y'all got to stop poking the bear. And y'all know Martell is the bear, but I digress. Then he goes over to Ken and Trish. Ken felt like Trish treated him like a punching bag. And, because she did not do her separation from Marquez correctly, and he felt all the brunt of that. Where you been, Ken? We've been saying that the whole friggin' time. Where you been? All the nastiness, and she finally admitted it in her session with the therapist. But we was watching that the whole time, in real time, and we was like, Ken, what is wrong with you? This lady is treating you like crap, and you love Trish, whatever. All right. Um, they start asking about the spin the block comment. Trish swore that she didn't sleep with the guy. Ken said, I don't believe you. Trish said, no, we just walked and we went on a date and we just walked and talked. Now, everybody again, they good at panning the camera on everybody's face, basically saying they don't believe what Trish is saying. She said, I just met him. We went on a walk and talk date, but we did not do anything. Ken said, I don't believe her because this is a dude that she used to mess with before me. So it could have been something there. Now, my question, if you was married to Marquez, start talking to Ken, when did this other guy come in here, Trish? I mean, was you cheating on Marquez with somebody prior to Ken? Because Ken said this was before me. So how did that happen? Because according to Ken, you and Marquez were still together when he started talking to you, or on your way to a divorce. I'm just gonna leave the timeline to know. Okay, Trish is still denying. Nobody believes her, including the whole cast. So Ken just said, "Hey, I cheated," and then of course Carlos tried to act like his apartment was I guess the pad in which they bring everybody to. So Carlos said, "Well, you had this apartment where you bringing women over there to cheat." He said, "No, I just needed some peace." Ken's lying and Trisha's lying. I'm telling you, these people, y'all remember back last summer when Marquez posted when it was going through the divorce. I don't know if it was finalized yet. Ken couldn't live in the house with the kids and Trish. That's why he got the apartment. Ken, stop lying. He said, I had to get out the house because the kids was tired. I mean, it was straining the kids out, which we already said the kids was going to be stressed out about them fighting all the time and Marquez coming there fighting. We knew that, but we were just being haters of people watching the show when we were saying this was not a good situation for your children. Marquez and Trisha, if you go look back, went to court and a judge said Ken couldn't live there. That's probably why Ken got that apartment. But he's sitting here looking us in the face and telling us he got out of there because the kids were going through like a stressful situation with him being there and divorce and stuff going on. These people just lie for no reason. We can go back and pull receipts. And I believe that was last summer. I'm just saying, because Marquez, this is before Marquez left them alone when he was still bothering them. He said that man can't be in the house, and it was some court document or something where he cannot be in the house with the kids, so he couldn't live there because they weren't married. But we'll go with the story you said, Ken. You just need to get away so the kids can do better. Now, Ken says he met the girl, she was in his DM. I guess they hooked up. So they asked him, do you go into DMs? And he said, no, no. I mean, they came into my DM. I didn't go into their DM. Once again, another lie, Ken. Because didn't you tell us, maybe it's just me, but didn't you say that's how you met Trish? You liked her page, y'all followed each other, and then you went into the DMs, and that's where y'all started meeting. But now you're telling us you don't go into people's DMs. They go into your DM. When you lie so much, it's hard to keep up with the truth, allegedly. But I remember specifically you saying that you had DM'd Trish, telling her, I guess, how nice she looked. She DM'd you back, y'all. This, and this. Marquez was still around or in the house, so they might have been going through it, but he was still around. And then later on, I guess y'all acted on your DMs. That you did reach out to her in a DM. Now you're telling us you don't DM people, people DM you, and that's how you hooked up with the girl. I gotta watch what you say and keep them lies straight. And then we're gonna finish up with this whole Destiny and Tisha thing. And I had to write some notes because it was just so much going back and forth. So Carlos was asking him about the friendship, whatever. And then Tisha's like, I don't like the fact that Destiny Martell is her friend and Destiny allows him to disrespect me, and then she laughs and thinks it's funny. Now, I, they showed some flashbacks here and there. I don't think that's the truth. I think they were showing where Destiny was telling Martell to apologize and he was wrong for what he said about you. Tisha, you just like holding grudges, baby, and you got to learn how to let stuff go. If you want a real friendship with somebody, you got to learn how to be a real friend too. And one of it is forgiveness. You can't hold a grudge forever because your friend made a mistake and maybe said something or did something you didn't like or talked to somebody. I understand you want your friend to have the same enemies you have, but you also have to keep in mind that Destiny and Martell was friends way before you. And she's probably not going to give Martell friendship up. And she's trying to balance in the two. But she did tell that man to apologize to you. She said she's not defending her when it comes to Nell. Once again, her and Nell had a friendship. See, the only reason you lined up with Destiny is because you and Destiny had a common enemy, and that was Melanie. That's why you was so happy to get Destiny back on the show, calling Carlos, telling, bring her back. She's in a bad time and she's having a hard time. And you said you was concerned about her and you was crying and all that other stuff. And Carlos did admit she asked for you to come back on the show. I get that. And we know when Destiny came back on the show, we could see she was having hard times. Her clothes wasn't looking right. The hair wasn't looking right. She was working out of a storage room, but she looking good now. So she done came up and we happy about that. All right. Um, Destiny calls it BS and she interrupts Tisha. She said, look, the only person you need to, she said, I told you what was going on and that's all I could do is try, basically is what she's telling Tisha. She said, you told me at the barbecue at Kimmy's house, I either fight with you or divorce my husband. And then Tisha went off, I didn't say that. Use a lie, use a lie. Destiny said, you did say that. She said, I put that on my son. You said that it happened at Kimmy's barbecue. And then they asked Kimmy, did she hear it? And Kimmy said, oh, I didn't hear anything. Okay. She said, Tisha rolled for me and she was a good friend. And she said she was fighting, basically when she was fighting for Destiny, and she did tell Martell to apologize. And then Destiny started getting very emotional about the friendship, but she said, I can't fix this alone. So when Carlos goes back to Tisha and he said, hey, I will say this, Destiny, Tisha did give me a phone call. My cast members never called me. And she said, Destiny's having a hard time. Can you bring her back on the show? And he said, you was never fired. You know, she said you was never fired. And she said you're welcome to come back. She said I fought for Destiny to come back more than I fought for my mom. I wanted her to win. No, you needed a side. You needed somebody to help you fight Melody, because Carlos said this happened a couple seasons back, and you saying, "Oh, I wanted to see her win." I don't think you cared that much, maybe a little bit, but there was also a lot of you in there that wanted her to get on that show to help y'all double team Melody because y'all couldn't take her down alone. Because Destiny even alluded to that when she got back. She said, when I got on the show, I didn't want to fight for another friend ship that's going to be dissolved. I'm getting emotional again about a friendship that I'm about to lose because she know that other friendship was with Melody she lost on the show. So let's keep it a buck. When y'all was out there on that little trip, you, Tisha, and Kimmy was all upset about how Mel was acting out there. Destiny said, I'm not gonna run behind kissing somebody behind and begging them to be my friend again. She was talking about Melody on that shit when she was kissing Melody butt, trying to make her friend. So y'all had a common enemy, and that was her reason in getting you back. Tisha don't do anything without some type of outcome. I don't think she has it in her because she acts too freaking mature. um he asked her, will you ever forgive Destiny? And Tisha like, I don't know. Tisha don't take no accountability for anything she did. She act like she said, I'm sorry I called her to 304, but that's it. Tisha, you ain't perfect either, and you did not treat Destiny right all the time, so stop. You use Destiny just like you claim Destiny used you to get back on the show or whatever, so forget it. Now Carlos said, I don't see the same action, and this is what I said about Kimmy and her gaslighting, because that's all Kimmy do is keep crap going. And you gonna see her in action right now. He asked her, he said, Kimmy, you had an issue with Tisha. How were y'all able to resolve it some seasons back? She said, I just let her go. I love Tisha. I know she comes for me and I just let it go. I love Tisha to the core. And I'm saying, she said, but Destiny do be saying some shady stuff. And Destiny's like, well, what did I say? Now, why did you bring that up? Because you said you love Tisha to the core. You allowed Tisha to snap off on you back in the day, do this, that, and the third. And I remember Wanda came in at one point and had some words with you too, Kimmy, about Tisha. But you don't say anything. You just let her go because you love her and you know it's going to be resolved. But you can't give Destiny the same grace. You said Destiny throw a lot of shade, and Destiny said, what shade? And then you snapped on her. Your whole tone changed. And she said, see what I'm talking about? See how she is? And Destiny, like, what are you talking about? What did I do? Say it, say it. What if you shut your yap up? I'll say it. Kimmy just turned from 0 to 60 on Destiny for no reason. It's amazing how Carlos sat there and pointed out how freaking Tisha was talking crap to you. years ago, and you sitting there like, I love her to the core. I just let her go, and then we'll figure it out. But Destiny says one thing. What did I say shady? And then your tone changed, and you deflected and tried to say Destiny was the one being aggressive, and it was you gaslight. Next thing you know, you and Destiny going at it. I did this is what I be saying about it. And then you gonna tell her to shut up her yap. Gaslighting. This is what Kimmy been doing the whole season, and that's why people are starting not to like Kimmy. So then they asked Nell. And Nell said, yes, Destiny can be shady. And then Destiny said, wait a minute. Then Nell said, no, let me finish. She said, Destiny can be shady, but we all are shady. She said, we all be shady sometime. And she said, and Destiny tried to fix something that started at Trisha's party because they felt the Scots was not being transparent. Then Kimmy chimes in, well, I didn't think it was an issue. And then that's when Nell said, well, I mean, just because y'all don't think it's an issue, don't think it was an issue for us, that's the problem. Y'all don't want to clean it up just because you don't think it's an issue. And then Kimmy said, well, what is it now? Just say it right here. Say it right here. And then Nell said, stop telling me what to do. You ain't nobody's mama. And then Kimmy snapped. She said, I gave you grace next time. And next thing you know, they go, Kimmy, BITCH, you don't have to give me no grace. You need to, and then Nelson, you need to pipe down. And then Kimmy said, BITCH, I ain't got to pipe down for nobody. And next thing you know, her and Nell was going at it. Kimmy the gaslighter. All Nell was saying was, when we was at Trisha's party, you thought the issue was resolved, but for us, it wasn't resolved. And Trisha even said, I didn't feel like it was resolved either after they left. But because the Scott sisters felt like it was resolved, then that's all that mattered. See, y'all two ain't good friends of nobody, and y'all are professional gaslighters. Tisha don't want to take accountability for anything she done. She want blind loyalty regardless, but ain't willing to give that back. And then Kimmy snapping on everybody. She won't snap on Tisha, even though she has admitted Tisha was rude and disrespectful to her. She let Tisha slide, and I just love her to the core. But soon as Destiny or Nell says something, you ready to pop off. You ready to pop off. You, Kimmy, I don't get it. What is your hatred toward them? Why do you feel that way toward them? And you just started going off on Miss Nell, just so disrespectful to Miss Nell, calling her a B. Miss Nell didn't call you out your name not one time. The minute she said something about, hey, you're not anybody's mama, just be quiet, I'm trying to talk. It who you talking to? But you're telling everybody that they the ones with the tone and they're the ones aggressive, and you went from 0 to 60 every time they said something, their mouth open. Deflection. You, deflection. Tisha Scott, deflection. Something going on over there. And y'all are taking all that anger and all that undertone and y'all shipping over there to Destiny and Nell. And it's not making y'all look good. You actually making Destiny and Nell look good. And y'all know who y'all making look good all together? Melanie Cherie Rogers. And I hate to keep saying her name like that because I try not to say her name. You're the ex-castmate. But everything that we are watching right now, that woman told us was going on. And y'all was so busy deflecting from your own stuff and worried about what her and Martell had going on that people didn't see it. And now it's coming out. And you can't hide it. You know? And now I'm looking at it like, golly, Martell comes in late, doing what the hell he want to do, and every comment was shaded toward him and his ex-wife's divorce. About, I don't want my, I've seen people's families get broken up and this and that. We know y'all talking about him. Black men don't cheat. And every time something like that was said, the camera turned towards him. Okay. And now you got Destiny and Nell, who's in a good marriage. Even they asked her about the infidelity. Nell said, hey, they're saying all that, but you don't know what will happen if you're going to stay or go until you are in that situation. Because love is love. And she's absolutely right. The only reason the lady that Martell was married to all those years stayed because she loved him. Up until the point he had an outside child. Had not been for the outside child, she probably would have still tried to make it work. That's what he's not understanding. It's not that she just walked away from the marriage, she didn't try. She gave you grace after grace after grace, and then you brings in a child. At some point, the grace ends, Martell, and that's where you at. Now, speaking of Martell, all y'all know what's been going on the last week between him and Melody and PPO orders and visitations and all that other stuff, and he not letting her leave Alabama. Martell, leave that woman alone. I cannot say it enough. You have been divorced from her for over 5, almost 6 years. You got a whole baby and a whole woman over there, Ariane Curry, who would die for you apparently because she loved your dirty draws, considering everything she has done for you, from interviewing the chick about the Scots to going on content creators page begging them to help you, from setting you up interviews, showing up at the courthouse when you and Melody was down there, running around with your kids on making gingerbread houses, everything she could possibly do to prove to us that Martell loved you and not his ex-wife. You got her looking so dumb right now because you keep trying to go back to the ex-wife. But then you get on the show. Ariana's a good girl. Mama, thank you for having dinner with her. I may give her engagement ring. She may be the one. That girl been hanging on for over 10 years. Baby girl, a man knows what he knows. If you are the one, y'all already been at the altar. I don't even know if y'all still together, but I hope you still not wasting your life on this man. For real, for real. But more than likely you are, because for some reason you think he's the end all be all for you. And I hope at some point you damn near 40 that you have grown up by now and left that ninja alone. Because as you can see, every time these shows airs, either y'all sit down and have conversations about what he's going to say, and he come home and say, hey, I'm going to talk about my ex like I'm still in love. It's just for the show, but don't believe her. I don't know. But if this stuff is just coming out of his mouth and you don't know ahead of time it's coming out of his mouth, you need to be sitting down having a real conversation with a therapist or somebody, seeing is it worth it? Because you pretty much sacrifice your life and possibly a career you probably could have had for this man, and he still don't know if he want to marry you, and you pushed out a baby and he still ain't married you yet. Baby, I hope you gone. And like Nell said, you don't know when you love a person. I get that, but y'all are not married. It should not be to the point where you can't get up and walk away. Are you scared to leave him? Are you really scared to be out on your own and start over again? It ain't that bad. You in Alabama. Go home to your family or something. That man can't have that big a grip on you, because the way he embarrasses you every time he appears on the show is just amazing to me. Now, either we need to see you on the show next season, hear your voice on a cell phone or something, letting us know y'all are moving forward to being married, or you need to figure something out, because it is embarrassing to see your boo, the man you stole with your eyes closed because he wanted a bad bee and you that fine, and I took her what husband, all that you bragged about, and he's still embarrassing you. That man never loved you, sis, and I don't know when you gonna figure that out. And he ain't in love with you, he's settling for you. The person he in love with is that lady he keep going over there and harassing every other day, every other week. He keep pulling in court 5, 6 years after divorce. Most people who divorce 5 or 6 years later, unless they got billions and billions of dollars they're trying to settle differences is, they done moved on. Some people be remarried in 3 or 4 years after they divorce. Okay? That man is not in love with you. He settled for you. He may love you, he may like you a lot, but he ain't in love with you. His heart is still over there in that big mansion on the hill where them 4 kids and that lady resides. That's all I'm gonna say. And with that being said, I hope y'all like my commentary. Leave a comment. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know what y'all think. Oh, and Carrie, what do y'all think about this? I was watching Carrie's confessionals. I think Carrie done had some work done. She looked, I mean, when they first come on, like their first season, their second season, glow up, third season, whatever. Carrie do not look the same in the confessionals. I had to look twice to make sure it was her. She didn't got that little thing they do down there with the cheeks and all that. Her face looks different to me. Looks good, not knocking it, but I think Carrie has some work done. And with that being said, as always, this is Gen X Nation, and you guys go and have a great rest of your day. Peace, and I'm out.